So, welcome everyone to the first School of Chess session where we will try to teach you guys some chess pretty much. And with me today I have this new member of our club named Pudding Schack. Hello Pudding. Are you with us? Very good. Can you say something more so that I can confirm that the chat can hear you?
I'm Pudding Schack, and that's Norwegian for Patzer chess.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Pudding, that's sort of a sweet sweet dish, right? But
It's like jelly.
a bit low sound.
Consistency. Well, it's unstable, just like my tactics.
All right. Can you input the call directly into OBS? Yeah, I think I can, but I'm not too sure about how. I can try it though. Nah. Very low sound, yeah? Okay, can you say something more, Mr. I tried to turn it up a little bit on from the Discord, but
Yes, I live in Annas.
echo now. Damn it. Okay, wait. Now there's no echo. There are always technical issues. Echo now, correct. Okay, hopefully I think this will work out though. I think we can just get started. So the setup today is that we will watch Mr. Pudding Schack play 3+2 games, and I will do some commenting underway. You will not be able to hear my tips underway though, so you should mute yourself and mute me when playing. And afterwards we will go through the game and analyze, and hopefully I will be able to give you some tips and tricks to how you can improve your play pretty much. Sounds alright?
Perfect, that sounds great.
Sounds great. So you are fairly strong, I would say, with a blitz rating of 1958 currently. So, but still, you just made a comeback to chess, isn't that right?
That's correct. So it's been a long time since I played chess regularly.
Yeah.
I'm a bit rusty.
Bit rusty, but that's alright. So whenever you are ready, you can just start a 3+2, and I would say good luck to you.
Thank you.
Alright, so he muted himself. That is perfect. You guys in chat can hear me well enough without any echo or any other technical issues, I hope. Perfect. Yes, sexy boy. That's good. Questions or comments in the chat allowed? Yes, absolutely. The thing is that he cannot hear us, so alright, we have an interesting one here. So he goes for this, what is it called? Jobava variation, F6, never seen before. And pushing with E5 in the middle. In the center, okay. Logical moves so far. Ooh, is that hanging a pawn? Not really, because takes here, and then you lose your queen. Knight F6. Alright, so black has a very good central control here. I tend to like black's position actually, due to the fact that he has this very, very good pawn, but that's not... I'm not saying that white is worse in any way, but it's a bit cramped here, I would say. All right, a6, either go to a4, d3, went to d3, seems logical. g6. Yeah, so now both players need to come up with a plan. It's not very easy, but I would say white should try and find a break here somewhere and try to get his pieces a little bit more actively placed, especially the rooks and perhaps also the queen. d4, black makes the break. Is this dropping a pawn though? I mean, after takes here, maybe you can win it back, but okay, didn't go for it. Bishop e7. Well, mass trades is certainly a possibility. Take. Or jump into e4. He went for knight g5. Threatening the bishop. Taking the bishop here. Alright, so now black decided to take the pawn. Maybe take and queen e2. Okay, queen e2 first. That's smart. Because it's threatening on e3 and it's also threatening to take on e6 and go bishop c4, potentially winning a queen. Okay, b5, just stopping this one, seems logical. a4, nice move. Knight d4, yeah. Now you just take the pawn, right? I guess so. Yeah. Right, so here, isn't this hanging though? Should be up for grabs, I think. Yeah. So he's playing against a guy that is rated pretty much the same as himself. Okay, so what do we take with? Probably the bishop. I mean, this guy is also hanging. He could take it because then he's also protecting the bishop. But if you take on g5 first, then this one, the knight is still hanging. Could go back to c6 though and threaten the queen. Yeah, so we're spending a little bit of time here. Seems all right. I don't see large issues here. I mean, take knight c6, gotta find a place for the queen. Okay, knight f5. Yeah. This is a threat. So black needs to find something, maybe rook e8, but then there's a little bit... I mean, these pawns are quite weak actually. Someday you may take here or after knight c6. I mean, okay, so rook e8, knight c5, then maybe you can take on a6 as well. Probably not though. But I guess you still play it. So knight c5, queen c6, c4. I did not consider this one. Okay, so after takes. Yeah, that should not be good for black, I think. But now... Okay, so after knight c5, then he can take on c4. This is getting pretty messy, actually. Do you have... There's something here as well. Knight f6. I guess you can just take it. Okay, so it takes this way. Now the queen is hanging, but... Oof. Blitz is hard, guys. Let's see what it does. Maybe this is... No, it's probably not playable. Seems like white is dropping material here, actually. This is hanging and the queen is hanging. Well, and the rook is hanging as well. Okay, so went for this knight f6. Needs to be taken. So take, and then Black has so many good moves. Okay, so you can just pick and choose here as black. All the... I'm not sure if that's the best one, but it seems to be more than good enough. This one is also dropping, unfortunately. But he may also just save the bishop, yeah. Yeah, this is only very hard for white. And he's managed to trade the queens as well, so this should be a an easy victory with a piece up for black. We'll see though if he can find any tricks. But it's good to start with a loss. That way there is only the way forward, so to speak, and then probably we can find some improvements to his play. Activating the king, very important in the end game, of course. But we could have taken the check there, just to trade off as many pieces as possible. Of course, when you are material up, you want to trade as many pieces as possible. Yeah, I find that often, let's say the around 2000 elo 2000 rated lead chess players, they are quite strong when it comes to tactical stuff, but when it comes to liquidating a position and the technique for winning one position is maybe not always the best. Okay, so this is very good though. He's just running up with the king. Unfortunately, there is increment, so no potential of flagging. All right, let's see. Pudding, are you with us? Yes. All right, so that was an unfortunate loss, but an interesting game, I would say. Very tactical stuff going on in the middle game there. We can take a look at it. Are you following?
Yeah, I'm looking at it. Yeah.
Very good. All right, so you play this, let's call it Yubava variation. Do you know it as that?
Yes. It was a suggestion from Marcus Markson.
Yeah.
So I haven't learned a lot of theory, but I like the ideas.
Yeah, I agree. It's quite easy to play and also very, very strong, I would say so. But this opening was very strange from black. I can see in the opening book after f6 there are virtually no games been played this way before. But yeah, I was thinking here after knight c6, I think that perhaps knight f3 is good. Simply just to avoid e5, because this should not be possible right now. And then it's not so clear to me what black's plan is. Maybe bishop g4 seems reasonable actually. But e3, it can't be wrong. And now he plays e5. Takes. I sort of want to cheat a little bit here, but these things looks very weak right now, at least. Is there any way we can exploit it? was thinking perhaps something like queen h5 or something, but I mean takes, queen h5, then we do a check and threaten the knight, but unfortunately you can just go something like knight g6. So bishop g3 is probably very okay.
I like the one you suggested there, because if he moves the knight to block the queen and the king, you can trade queens on d5, and then you will threaten the fork on c7.
Yeah, I mean...
But maybe just bishop d6 is solid. Probably.
Yeah, this is probably... I mean, you sacrifice a piece here, and you get 2 pawns for it. But it's probably not enough, unfortunately. At least when you trade the queens. Maybe you can try and take with the knight. I think it's better when you sacrifice pieces to try and not trade off too much, so that you have some pieces to collect the lost piece back. But I think either way that bishop g3 is probably the best move. All right, so bishop e6 makes sense, just protecting on d5. Now bishop b5. This also seems very logical to me. I mean, we want to develop this bishop, and well, it's not really... Well, you could put it on e2 or d3 or b5, but still, I think b5 seems like the most logical place. Bishop d6. Yeah, I was looking briefly at just taking on d5, but this is a blunder, of course, because after takes, queen takes, then there's bishop b4, and then you'll win your queen. I don't know if you saw it, but
no, I didn't see it.
And then you now went knight ge2. Why didn't you go to f3 instead?
That's a good question. I think I just moved automatically without thinking.
Yeah, I think knight f3 is quite a bit better. And actually, when I look at it, I think we have a trick here. Since the bishop is already on b5, I am certain we have a tricks. Do you see it?
Give me a few seconds.
Yeah.
Can you take on e5 here with the bishop?
Yes, I think so. Because in the variation we looked at before, then you could take back with the knight. Now we cannot do that anymore, since the knight is pinned, so he needs to take back with the bishop, right?
Yes, queen h5.
Yeah, and here I think we should take on c6 first. Like this, because it's check, and then queen h5, and gobble up the bishop, winning a pawn at least, and also with a better position afterwards. You can play... The reason I wanted to take the knight first, by the way, is because after queen h5, then there might be some king f8, and now you cannot take the bishop anymore. We could take this one, and this is also probably fine, but maybe we run into some trouble with something like...
No, because black can take with a check on the c3 knight.
That's right, exactly. Take here, and take back, and it's all still a piece up. So...
Yes, we need to take the knight before checking with the queen.
Yeah. You could also start off this whole sequence by taking on c6 as the first move here. So takes, and then take on e5. It's the same position. So one tips is that when the f pawn is gone from the board, always look for these check tricks with the queen. And yeah, if we want to move the knight here, I would strongly recommend to go to f3. And that's simply because we are threatening the e5 pawn. That's of course due to the fact that the knight is stuck. And if he plays something like e4, could be a possibility here, then knight d4 is still pretty strong, I would say. Okay, but knight ge2, knight f6, very logical developing move, castle, logical, castle. And yeah, I said here while commenting that I think I played black is doing very well here, due to the fact that he has a very strong central control and good development. Your position is a little bit cramped here, yeah?
Yes, I would change colors if I could.
Yeah, exactly. So here you need to try and find some sort of a break, I think, in order to create, get some more space, but it's very hard to find. One potential break could be f4, but maybe it's just bad actually. Okay, let's see what you did. You played f3. Yeah. That's sort of preparing e4 or... Yeah. The problem though is you don't really... Or I don't feel like e4 is maybe the correct break. Because he can just play d4. But okay. A6. Bishop d3. I feel like you can just take off this knight here. Because the thing is, your position is so cramped that it might be beneficial to you to just trade off some pieces. But I don't think bishop d3 is a bad move in any way. Another plan could be to go to a4, because after this you get a bishop on b3, where I think is a very good square, because it's supporting this attack on the center. So right now you are at least threatening to take on d5. Probably with the knight though. But bishop d3, g6. Yeah, now again we need to find some way of getting through this position. I think bishop h4 is totally fine. Queen d7, knight g3. Yeah, so we're jumping around a little bit with the pieces, trying to find better squares. I think that's fine though. And now suddenly black is the one to break. Yeah, I think you need to take this one actually.
I had right immediately, not because here I moved the knight.
Yeah.
But I immediately regretted that I didn't take the knight with my bishop first, and then I could move the knight c to e4 after he takes with the tempo up.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be...
After I dropped the piece.
Yeah, that would probably be possible, but I think you might run into some trouble if he takes on c3 instead. because now the bishop is hanging and need to move, and then I think black wins at least a pawn. Yeah.
I didn't see that at all. So.
Because the thing is, after you play knight to e4, then at least there is a pawn dropping. If he just played knight takes... Well, it's not actually. I was thinking knight takes e4, knight takes e4, and then d takes e3. But I see now that there's that's a fork on f6, so you would have won an exchange if black did that. So probably this is fine. So bishop e7. Now you could have gone for the mass exchange. I don't think it's bad actually. So take, and now knight e4, rook somewhere, probably back, and then just take on d4. Because here your pawn structure is very sound, and you have managed to trade off a lot of pieces, so your position is not as cramped anymore. I think this should be fairly equal. Yeah. The computer says a very small advantage to you here actually. But you went for the complications with knight g5, also a decent looking move. Take on e3, queen e2, very nice, threatening to...
I was hoping for some tactics there, but yes, that one.
Yeah.
I just couldn't pull it through.
Let's say black does nothing. Rook b8. Does this work? Because takes, bishop c4.
And he has to move the knight.
Knight d5.
You can take the bishop. No, then he will cover it better than knight, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it don't work.
Well, it's not a direct threat, really, but this should be totally fine for you, though. You get the pawn back. If he takes, then you take the queen with check. Yeah. But he saw that you were threatening some shenanigans on c4, so he played b5, and you play a4, which I liked very much. Then knight d4, take on e3, seems like the only logical move. Knight d5, and you took on e5, which also seems very, very good. And now here I was thinking, you were thinking quite a lot actually. What were you thinking about?
I had a lot of different alternatives here.
Yeah.
How to take the bishop with the queen, or my bishop, to take his knight. I tried to calculate some variants, if I could get some attack or some tactics, but I just couldn't find a super move. If there is any, but as you know, it's plus 3.9, so it seems like a missed move right in this position.
No, you actually played the right move, I think. You should look out for this one. Do you see what happens if you took on d4?
He can go rook f4.
Exactly. So if you take here, then rook f4 with the double attack. And the sad part is that the rook is also covered by the knight. So after queen e5, he can take here with the bishop and be a piece up. Yeah. So you played the correct move here. Knight f5. Knight e4. This is getting very complicated right now, but knight e4 seems like a very good move. just threatening to play knight c5. Guess that was your plan at least.
I was hoping to fork on f6.
Yeah.
Get something going there, but yeah, you will see my next move, which I thought the second I played it was good, but it turned out it was not so good.
Yeah.
The c4 move.
I thought c4 looked quite alright, honestly. I see that the computer gives something entirely else, but I don't really understand why b3 is such a good move here. Apparently it is. I don't understand that at all. But okay. Let's see, c4. It seems logical because after takes, as he did, then you take with the bishop and get this into this very, very nice diagonal.
Yes, what my main goal was to get him to remove the knight, to have f6 fork.
Yeah. So right here seems to be a very important moment though. You spent some time here as well, which is very good. Because this position is very hard to get an overview over. But what is the good move? Because after you took on e3, yeah, then he takes on c4 and suddenly all of your pieces are hanging. So we need to find something better here. So hard to do this when the computer is telling me all the moves. But the computer suggests just to play bishop takes a6.
I would never seen that. It seems so logical when all the action is different place on the board.
Yeah, definitely. So, are there any... I mean, like, okay, so let's take on... Yeah, let's take on e6. That seems like a good move as well. So after, let's say, rook takes, seems to be the most interesting one, or most forcing line. What can we do then?
I don't feel I have any good moves in this position.
There is one good move that I see, actually. I think I see a good move.
Can you see more than me?
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. I think we have this knight c5, which is a fork, but of course our queen is hanging. But after he takes and you take, you have another fork. Of course, this requires a bit of calculating skills, of course, but I think you have some of that. But I don't really know if this is winning in any way, because your rook is hanging as well. So takes... Well, we can take the rook, for example. And yeah, here you are at least a pawn up. Yeah. Right, so let's take a look at the rest. Takes. Yeah, here I don't think there are very many good moves, honestly. Well, there was this queen c5 maybe, but I think the rest of the game was just technique. Yeah, it was lost pretty much. But yeah, interesting one. Do you want to play another one?
Yeah, sure.
Very nice. Then just get ready, unmute yourself, and we will be watching. Alright, second game. Now with the black pieces, yeah, I know he plays the Caro-Kann. I think this, he recently studied it. Okay, so he plays the knight f6 variation, which is very popular these days, but he takes with the g pawn. I play this myself, but I take with the e pawn. I think that's a bit more solid, but this should be somewhat playable at least. Right, bishop g4 seems good, because after this bishop f4 you can take on e2. F3 is often a move that you don't want to make, but maybe that's actually fine here. Alright, so white is really thinking here, taking his time. Hello, GM Genius Chess 2007, yeah. And b2 much time. Okay, so you played f3. Where do you want to go with this one though? f5, okay. I suspect bishop f4. But then maybe we play e5. I guess that's the plan at least. Yeah. Takes. Then what? Bishop g3, right? Knight d7, yeah. Castle, I guess. I think black has a fine position here. Maybe there's some troubles with the f7. I would like very much to castle long here. Let's say white goes short castle and then black goes long. Suddenly the f7 is hanging. Maybe it's not actually, because we can move the knight and then threaten both the bishop and the queen simultaneously. Alright, so he's playing against the guy that is really using his time in this one. Queen d2. So this is telegraphing he wants to go long. Maybe play h5 in order to get the bishop. Yeah, okay. We are thinking alike. I don't know if this is actually a threat though. Let's say long bishop h6 f4. Takes. Yeah, maybe not so good. h4. A bit strange. Of course he was afraid of black going h4 himself. Right, so now we have this that I mentioned. If you take on f7, then black can move his knight and do a double threat. f6, yeah. Get rid of this weakness and also protect the center. Okay. Bishop h6. Well, at least it's preventing white from castling long, but yeah, it's dropping a pawn. Now what? This one is sort of hanging. This one is sort of weak, but white has some issues with his king. Could go short, but maybe that's a bit risky, honestly. Bishop f4. Interesting. And if we take, takes. Yeah, And then long castle, yeah. I didn't like this very much. Once again, it's like you are a pawn down. It's not that much, but still, you don't really want to be the one who's initiating the trades. Right, so now he needs to find something here. But I don't think there's so much to find. A plan at least. Want to play some rook g8, but this bishop is covering. Could do trades, but then again, trades is not really what you want. Okay, rook e8 seems logical. Trades. Maybe you can take a check and grab this one. Yeah, it's what it does. Saint Zua, hello from Stavanger. Well, hello from Oslo. Queen d4. Yeah, that seems to be a very good move. I mean, if you take, then this check is very tempting, but also this one is hanging. When are we planning to have the next big tournament? Well, planning these days is a bit hard due to the COVID pandemic, but as soon as that's dealt with, or at least in a bit more normal state, then I think we will try and arrange something, yeah. Alright, so now it's trying to fight here. It's a pawn down, but I think it should be one for white due to that simple fact. This one is very weak. Ooh, now white should just trade, I think, yeah. And this king endgame, or rather pawn endgame, is usually always won to the side which has the extra pawn. f4. Yeah, doesn't matter. Go to f3. Now the king needs to move, and then the king makes his way into black's position, gobbling up the pawn, and then just runs with these 2 pawns here. Just a matter of technique. Ferocious style king opposition, yeah. Right, so he managed to get pawn running, but it should not be enough. Check here, and I guess white can even just take it if he wants to. Or move his king first, so this pawn is free to run. This check, is that the point? Yeah. What is my opinion on the performance of your fellow Norwegian Magnus in the Tata Steel chess tournament so far? Well, I think he has been a bit unlucky not being able to convert any of the good positions that he had, and of course he lost yesterday, unfortunately. I think he played a bit too sloppily there, honestly. But it's very hard to criticize him when he's playing these really top guns. But I'm not sure. Maybe it's there's a long time since he played classical chess. That might affect him in some way. And this should be mate. Yeah. Okay. Pudding, you're with us again.
Yes, yes.
Another loss, but also another interesting game, I would say.
Yes, I changed from playing on the computer to playing on my phone, and it feels better with the smaller screen.
Okay. You usually play on your phone, or?
Yeah, 99% of the games is
Wow.
on my
Yeah.
phone screen.
Fair enough. Let's have a look. So the Caro-Kann is something you started to play quite recently, or?
Yeah, 1 month ago-ish, when I started this comeback thing.
Yeah.
I tried a lot of different, and I ordered a bunch of books, and I got suggested to play the French defense
Mm-hmm.
first, but after playing for some games online, I disliked the bishop on c8 being stuck all the time, so I changed from French to Caro-Kann to have that.
Yeah.
White bishop more available.
Yeah. I play the Caro-Kann myself, and I think it's a very sound opening. So continue with that. But this one, did you study the knight f6 variation?
Not much, but I saw a few games with it, and I think the ideas behind it's very solid, but I actually need to learn them before mastering this variation. So I know there is a lot of tricks I can do later and get some attack in the G file, but yeah, I think I need to practice a lot before it's actually a sound variation for me to play.
Yeah, because the thing is here that usually they or before they play this g takes f6, but I think people realized that this line wasn't that good, so what they play nowadays, or and also what Magnus actually played quite recently, is this e takes f6 instead. And there's a lot of theory here, but the point is pretty much that you get quite good control with this pawn over the e5 square, and the king is very safe as well after going bishop d6 and short castle. So I would recommend the taking with the e pawn instead of g pawn, but I guess taking with the g pawn is also fine though.
Yeah, but I felt a bit cramped. I didn't know when I don't know the exact ideas and theory.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me it would be better to take with the e pawn because it's more natural move to just
Yeah.
bishop and castle to and start playing chess instead of trying to remember something I forgot.
Yeah. So it's pretty much you take with the e pawn, you go bishop d6, you go short castle, and then you take the e file very quickly with the rook at least. And then you can try and mount some pressure on the king's side with the bishops, for example. But okay, let's see what happens. G takes, bishop c4. And here you are apparently lost. No. Is that right? So here you are apparently in major trouble actually. Because yeah, this is hanging and you need to play e6, and then we are stuck with this French bishop once again. I guess. Yeah.
This doesn't look good at all. I was trying to prevent him from playing the bishop to f4.
Yeah.
Taking the diagonal. So that was the reason I played queen c7.
Right. I think you should play bishop f5 here in any case if you were to play this line. just to get the bishop out, and then you can play e6 afterwards. I don't think bishop f4 is very dangerous. I guess you could just develop quite normally here with like knight e7 and e6 and something. But he plays knight e2. Seemed to me like a very logical move, just to go bishop f4 and threaten the queen. But you found bishop g4. Of course, now this is not playable because you take on e2. So this would be, yeah, playable and playable. It's playable, but I don't think it's very good for white. Maybe it is actually. Maybe you could take it here instead to try not give him the bishop here. Yeah. But f3, yeah. Bishop f5 seems like the place to be. And bishop f4, now e5. Very demanding stuff, but very good, I think. Takes, bishop g3. Knight d7, very logical. Queen d2. I think you could have cast long here.
Yes, I was considering this, but then I was maybe a bit too opportunistic, optimistic, trying to get some tactics with the bishop on h6.
Well, I think what you did, it was actually quite good. It was my suggestion as well to the chat when we were going through the game, when you were playing. Because the bishop is quite well on h6. If he does do long castle, then I don't think you win the queen or anything because of f4. But I think you can just leave the position here b and do a long castle, for example. And the bishop is quite well here on h6.
Yeah.
And of course he can never take on f7, because you just move the knight and then you have a double threat. Yeah, and then white plays h4. That's because he doesn't want you to play h4, which was also could have been a nice move. And then you went long castle. Yeah, I think that's totally fine. But here, yeah. The logical move here to me is very much to play just f6. Because you get rid of the weakness on f7, which is threatening, and it's also supporting this central pawn, which is kind of being threatened right now. So just f6, of course you allow him to go long castle, but I don't think that's a big problem. You can just, for example, play check now and then maybe knight b6 or knight c5, for example. And we have a quite equal position.
I really like this position from black's point of view.
Yeah, I agree.
To the one I got the same number of moves with you.
Because now you play bishop h6, I guess, to prevent black from doing a long castle.
Yes.
Yeah. That's probably fine, but the problem is you're dropping this pawn.
I was hoping for some shenanigans with my knight moving it, but there are no logical targets or anything because, yeah, what you showed at the e5.
Yeah. Yeah, if you could have done a discovery, then this would have been fine. Maybe you should just move the knight either way, because let's say you move knight b6. You have two threats here. One is this one. What is the other one? exactly.
I didn't see that one.
So maybe this is fine. I'm not too sure. Because let's say take here. Take. Yeah, and now he can probably not take here because bishop d2. Yeah, this should be completely won for you, even though it's equal material. I think the king is in big trouble here. Something like this. Yeah. So that could have been an option. Yeah, bishop f4 I didn't like very much. Can you explain the move or what you were thinking?
I was thinking that the e5 pawn was falling, going to fall.
Yeah.
And I disliked the bishop on g3. And I wanted to trade it off, but then I didn't see him taking with the knight. He took with the knight, right?
No, it took with the bishop.
No, with the bishop. I had some ideas, but yeah, it was maybe not the smartest of moves in this game.
Yeah, I criticized it a little bit because I think it's making the position way more easy for him because you're trading off pieces pretty much. Currently you are a pawn down and you should try and avoid trading as many pieces as possible. Because that's what your opponents want to do when he's material up. I see that this is a suggestion from the computer. I'm not sure if it's very strong or what. Because this one is falling, but the king is as long as the king can't go long, then the king is sort of in trouble, because if he goes short, you have a lot of open files for your rooks to attack his king. So maybe just keeping the bishop on this file, it would have been fine. Yeah, the rest of the game... Yeah.
That it's lost, so.
At least here, I would just mention that you should never trade into a pawn endgame where you are pawn down, because it's almost always lost.
Yeah, I was looking to get the knight to the e3 square, and I somehow my brain just thought it, so I went to d5 instead of c4. But the idea was the same, to get to the e3, but I should have gone to c4, of course.
Yeah. Well, sometimes there are air in your brain and then it makes a little fart, so that's just the way it is.
Yes.
Yes. All right. You want to take another one?
Sure.
Then we will be ready to analyze. I will be ready. Cool. All right. Another game, another black game, and another Caro-Kann. So this line... Okay, so it's an exchange Caro-Kann. Knight c6, logical. Knight f6, logical. Bishop g4, also logical. So now just knight f6. e6 is fine. Those are the two moves I would recommend at least. Queen c7 again. Yeah, it's fine, but... You need to develop your pieces. Knight f6, fine. Bishop d2, e6 now probably. Yeah. Queen a4. Yeah, why not? a6 is a possibility. Bishop d6 seems very natural. h6, okay. Yeah, he's mounting some pressure here upon the c6 knight. Here I guess f4. That's what I would have played with the white at least. Yeah. This is a bit uncomfortable for black, mainly because of this bishop here. Right now white is threatening to play g4, and then the bishop needs to go to g6, where we lose at least a pawn. Yeah, so if castle, here g4 is really strong. Can't really take it either, so... So this will be another pawn down situation. Okay, you can take here and threaten two pieces at the same time. Okay, so it goes for a sacrifice. Maybe that was actually necessary. White should have a winning position, but it's not really clear. I mean, the king has not a lot of protection. Ooh. Yeah. Okay, so this is at least a draw now. He can go back and forth if he wants with the perpetual, which is not a bad result given the position, or the material balance, or imbalance rather. Okay, so he is trying to figure out if there is anything better. Bishop h3 perhaps, then rook g1, queen h4. Maybe it works. Knight f3 though. I think taking the perpetual here is completely fine. Yeah, I don't think there's anything better, honestly. Oh no! Sir. That is...
That's one of the disadvantages playing on a small screen.
Yeah, that's one of the disadvantages for sure. Oh, that was a sad one. I think taking...
purposes, I was going for the draw.
Yeah.
I didn't see any win, and I didn't want to think for 2 minutes while people were waiting.
Well, don't think about the people. Think about your rating. But I think the draw was probably the best. Should we take a quick look at the game though?
Sure.
Yeah, these are all completely fine. This queen c7 though, I would like to criticize it a little bit. Because... yeah, I would rather just play knight f6 and e6 and bishop d6 quickly than going with the queen to c7. I don't think it's a major mistake in any ways, but it's a bit time consuming. So this is all fine. Maybe you could have taken on f3 here actually. What would you have done if he took back with the queen?
Perfect. I can take on the 4.
Yeah. I don't know if this is very good for you in any way, because you can take on d5, but well,
But I can,
rook d8.
yeah, because you don't have to check.
Yeah,
Or
it's,
he have the check. Oh,
he does have the check, but still, it's probably fine. Maybe
would you go
a6.
to queen to d7 there instead of to
You could. Maybe it's better actually.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. But I think this should be fine for you. You just need to get your pieces developed quickly though, but then your position is very sound. It's just a little trick that I saw very quickly at least. Okay, bishop h5, castle, knight f6, fine, e6, fine. Yeah, and here h6 is a mistake actually. But that's because I know what white wants to do. And what white wants to do is what he did in the game. It's to go knight e5 and play f4 and get this this outpost on e5. So therefore I would definitely recommend you to play bishop d6. First of all, just to develop and be ready to castle, but also to take more control over the e5 square. Because now I think white would have gone, for example, rook e1. There's not so much going on g5, so that you want to cover it with h6 here. So say rook e1 to prepare knight e5, but then it's still not possible because now the queen has no longer any pin on the king.
The reason I played h6 here was not to protect, but to prepare an g5 push.
Aha.
But I'm not sure if it's good in any way, shape, or form, but that's attacking.
I would say it's a little bit over ambitious right here. Because you need to put your king somewhere and you don't really want to castle long. Because it's very easy for white to break open this position with, for example, c4 or just b4, b5 and get a very quick attack on your king. So you need to you need to go short pretty much, and therefore you should just play bishop d5 to make room for the king.
Yeah, I think as you said, it was a bit over ambitious because I was when I played h6, my plan was g5 and also to castle long. So.
Yeah, it's also worth to notice that when you have your bishop on h5, that you often don't want to play h6 because suddenly they can play g4 and you don't really want to go back because you need to take with the f pawn then, and e6 becomes very weak. Which is sort of something what happened. Yeah, f4, this is fine. Yeah, now you probably should just go bishop g6 and have a little worse position, but what you did was maybe fine.
Yeah, I was thinking because if I went to g6, he would just win a pawn.
Yeah.
Have, yeah, so I think it's a bit worse for me. So I was just trying, okay, if I can, if I'm losing some material, I might as well get an attack.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense in a from practical point of view. And f5, that's very good.
Yeah, because I was hoping for
En passant, yeah.
And then, that was what I was hoping for, and then just to take the draw or try to calculate the win, but I couldn't.
Yeah, so apparently there is a win here. But what is it? I was thinking bishop h3, perhaps. Threatening these two. And then... But this is a problem, though. Yeah, at least a draw.
Or even go the knight to f3 in that position also, maybe.
Yeah. But what is it?
After it takes on a g7.
Yeah, so it's just to take on f6 apparently. And I guess the problem is that if white take and you take back, then you can never move the knight to open up for the queen, because you have this bishop f3 move. And now suddenly your rook is soon to come into the attack with king h8 and rook g8. And his pieces are just stuck here over on the queen side. And then you were a bit sloppy. I love that you offered a draw and that white actually declined, and right after you do a mouse slip or finger slip, perhaps.
Yeah, it was a finger slip.
Finger slip, yeah. Interesting game though. Do you want to take one last?
Yeah, sure.
Good. We need to see a win now, yeah? No pressure.
Let's see.
His Leech's username is Puddingsjakk. You can see it down here. Okay, so the Jubava variation. E3 here, yeah. Well, isn't this a bit too premature? Because now A6 is coming. Yeah, it's a bit too cheap, I would say, this knight b5. I guess you just have to develop here and say, okay, I need to go back with the knight. I mean, you could go to c7, but it's not really what you want to trade two minor pieces for the rook. Frank Jacobsen says he's not a big fan of castling early. Yeah, for sure. Castle is usually a very strong move. You should do it. Is this pawn hanging? Well, you can take then e6 though, and black will win it back. Okay, trade off the bishop. c4. Ooh. e6 though. Queen h3. I mean, if you go to g5, then just h6. And you can, yeah, you can go to h4. g4, you can just take, because take, then take the rook. Well, I guess this is fine. Knight h5 though. Threatening these two. Where do you put your queen? G4, I guess. And takes. But by going out with the queen this early, black gets a lot of tempes here for development. F6? Is that a threat? Maybe you can take on C6 and it's not a problem. Not sure. And where do you want to put this guy? I do not recommend going long, because b5, b4 will come very quickly and the king will be in danger. So go short, yeah. F6, take on C6. Takes. Okay, or take like that. Move the queen somewhere. G4 maybe, F5. Because we're threatening to take here. Okay, just grab it. I mean, we can do it because it's check. If the king went to h8 though, then we could not take it because bishop h2 and rook takes e6. So I would recommend king h8. Or simply queen e7. Or queen e8 even, so that you have the possibility of bishop e7. That's a bit unambitious move. I think you should take this and go rook d1 maybe. Not sure if I like this position after e4. Because everything is suddenly closed up and the rooks have big problems of getting into the game. But if we take here, then at least we have the d file and something to play for. F5 now. Okay, so this is going to be a completely locked up position, because after this, e4 should be the move. But worth noting is that in closed positions like this, knights are often stronger than a bishop, because they can jump around and make use of all the, let's call it holes in the position. Knight takes, I think I would rather have seen e takes, because now this e3 pawn is going to be a weakness forever, and you don't get the e file for the rook. But of course, this might be alright. Okay, so it's mounting up some pressure on d5. Queen d7 seems logical. What else? Queen c6. Queen a8. You need to protect this in either case. Queen f7 is possible. Yeah, sure. Because now we have an half open f file, but it's kind of hard to make use of it. We would want the knight really bad to go to e5 if we could just put it there, but it's going to be very hard to get it there, because d3 is covered and g6 is also way too overcovered. Yeah, now it's just standing on the rim, being a bit dim. But black is in time trouble, and it's not very clear how black should make a breakthrough. Trade. Yeah. Yeah? Okay, maybe not. Just go back. Maybe, yeah, just go back. Because after... Ooh, no, don't go back, actually. Alright. Black lost on time. I guess we'll take it. Pudding, are you with us?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. That was a bit of a lucky win, I would say.
Yeah, I didn't favor my side of the board very much in the end.
No.
I would prefer the black pieces here, but black was just too slow.
Yeah, it was just too
I
slow.
don't understand why he lost on time either, because he could probably just push his pawns and then...
Probably. We can take a look at it. So, d4, knight c3. This seems totally fine. e3, yep. But knight b5 is a bit too cheap. Yeah. I think you should just play knight f3 and potentially take on c5. Yeah, maybe you could have taken on c5 immediately, but it seems a bit awkward after e5 to me. d5 is hanging, knight f6, knight f3. I don't know, I think this is fine as well. But I guess knight f3 seems more logical to me, at least.
Yeah, I think that's the most solid move. But it's actually Marcus's fault, because he showed me some very nice attacks with the knight on b5, so I'm just a bit obsessed with that move.
Yeah.
Not the correct one.
Sometimes this works, but not when he has developed both of these guys, so he can protect with the rook, so just tactically it doesn't work here. But okay. Yeah, because now we just needed to make a bit sour retreat. But the position is not lost by any stretch of the means. Bishop d3. That's smart, I think.
It just felt a bit cramped, so I just wanted to trade little pieces to have some place for the one I got that.
Yeah, that's logical. Now c4. I didn't really like queen f5. The queen gets active, but the problem is that black gets so many tempes of chasing the queen around the board and just developing his pieces while doing so. So I think you should rather just go to e2 and maybe prepare an e4 break.
Yeah, I actually like that more if I could play the same game again.
Yeah.
It seems much more solid.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
now he gets e6 and h6. You could have gone to h4 actually, because g4 is not playable. You can just take it.
Yeah, I was thinking about if he played...
Bishop e7.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's better. But now he gets this move, yeah. Takes, and another tempo even. And I thought you had to play queen g4 here. I guess black just castles and then it's not so clear what you want to do really. Maybe still go for this move. No, I don't think it's playable. Ah, maybe it is. Because you take with the queen. And this is not too bad.
Around this
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, the problem is that your pawn storm is way slower than his pawn storm. He already has his pawn on c4, and b5, b4 is 2 moves, and suddenly after b3, 3 moves, your king is in big trouble. Whereas you need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 moves at least. So short castle is probably better. But knight e5. Seems a bit loose. Yeah, I think the problem is queen c7. This is not me, but the computer saying so. And now f6 is a threat, and it's also a threat just to take it immediately, actually. And you can't cover it. But castle f6 was not the best. Queen c7 was still the better move. But now you get to trade off some pieces. That's good. Queen g4. And here you could have grabbed the pawn. Did you see it?
Yeah, I missed it.
Yeah. Of course, if he played something like king h8, which I would have considered to play, then you cannot take it because bishop h2 and then discovery. But as long as you can take here with check, then you can just even grab this one probably. Yeah, and be 2 pawns up simply.
This looks very good.
Yeah. A3, preventing b4, fine. Bishop e7, that was very unambitious by black, I gotta say. I think he should have played something like queen e8. I would rather go to e8 than e7, because here he has some potential of going to the white squares on the king side.
I just still can't understand why I missed queen takes e6.
Yeah.
It seems so logical also when I look at it now. And I should have seen this one.
Yeah, that's just practice, I would say. Just gotta play more games and look at, yeah, be on the lookout for hanging pieces, pretty much.
Yep.
Knight e2. That's fine. I also think again that this e4 break could be the good break. Because after takes, now you have some very nice squares for your rooks, whereas when the pawn is on e3, then the rooks are not doing anything. You could also maybe have tried f4, but we get a very closed position. But in general, in closed positions such as this, where no pawns are being traded off, often the knight is as strong as the bishop because it can jump anywhere, for example into this e5 square. It takes some time, but there's not so much going on here. For example. It's a long route, but you will have a lot of time here. Knight e2, e5. This one I would recommend just taking. I'm not sure if it is strong, but at least now you get activity to your rook and you get a target to attack. But maybe the king side is a bit weak. I don't think so though. c3, queen e8, f4. Yeah, again I would say e4. Because if it takes on d5, you take back with the knight. And if it takes on e4, you can take with the queen. And yeah. Your position is still quite cramped, which I would say is the problem. Getting activity to the rooks, and then you need to find a break and create some open files for the rooks. f4, f5, and here I wanted to take with the pawn, but I see that it might not work tactically. The reasoning for why I want to take with the pawn is again just to get the rook activity. So you have an open file which you can make use of your rooks. But I see that maybe you can just take on a3 and win a pawn. Maybe not though. Yeah. If you go here to threaten this, he can take on b2. And if you take the bishop, then you will be pawned down, and this should be a bit of a suffer. So knight takes, fine. You could not take with the rook probably because bishop g5. Queen f3, yeah. Yeah, let's just go to the winning position where you where the game ended. You were thinking g5, yeah?
Yeah, because in this position I like my knight on f4.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt it was active and I was threatening d5. But I would still change sides if I could, because I just like how black can just push his pawns and put his rook behind the pawns and just maybe have a winning attack.
Yeah.
At least in this level without computer or TM assistance.
Yeah. Well, here at least you cannot play knight h3 because of g4. So
yeah,
there's...
I was thinking to go to h5 here, and then if you push the pawn to, and then take on f5 with the queen.
Oh, yeah. That's right. I think he just plays either bishop e7, d8 or h8. Because now suddenly g4 is an actual threat.
This doesn't look good. Because I can't play h3 now because he will just be threaten mates on f1 if I take 3 days.
Like this? I think this is possible.
Yeah, I can just take the queen instead. I take with the check. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can't retake. So yeah.
Yeah, this is probably fine for you.
But if you go back 3 moves, I could take the pawn with the queen because then he has 2 moves because I'm threatening this.
That's right.
No, I'm winning the queen here.
Yes, you are.
Oh, if you take the pawn there.
Yeah, I don't think you're winning the queen, but the position is it's fairly equal. Probably a little bit worse for you here. Yeah, so this would have been a position that's far from over. I think you need to play on the G4 break. So you fix the knight on H5 and maybe open up some files for the rook. Yeah. All right. I see that the time has been running. Thank you for participating. I hope you had some... It was a little bit educational at least.
Yeah, I think it was. It's very interesting because when I usually play online, because what I remember is my great tactics in the winning games.
Yeah.
But not so much my mistakes. Then I just get angry and log off and then do something else until I log on again.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, it's very educational and this analysis is, this is the first time since I started playing chess again. I've actually analyzed something, so it was very interesting.
That's good. I would, at least in general, say that it's very smart to analyze some of your openings. If you have if your opening fails, then check it very quickly and see if what you should have played instead. All right. Thank you all for watching. Sorry for a little technical issues and a little bit of echo. We will try to fix that till next time. We will do this every Monday going forward with different people. So we will notify you if you have been selected to be the student. All right. Have a nice evening, everyone, and see you later.